Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Nitsan Tal, director of 8,000 Paperclips, and I'll be talking today with Raffael Lomas, an Israeli artist and TED Fellow. Hi, Raffael, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Nitsan.
So I'm glad we have this opportunity to talk to each other again and ask each other some questions that we haven't really discussed before. So first of all, the film tells a story of the 8,000 Paperclips art project. How do you define the project? When did it begin? When did it end? Did it end? Is it a sculpture? Is it a performance art? What is it?
Hi, Nitsan. Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity really to have this conversation, which we never really had the opportunity before. It's very tempting to put this 8,000 paperclip and one Skype call project under the umbrella of artivism, which is a combination between art and activism, a term first used in 1997 or 1998. I think even in the States, where singers use their skill to promote or bring to consciousness some social issues. Usually there were artists themselves that did those projects. In my understanding, this project is slightly different because my main goal wasn't for me to create, but really to allow the encounter between me and the refugees, the kids, to allow their own creativity to come. So the piece we made is truly a collaboration between us. It wouldn't have happened without us together. So from this point of view, I really I see this creative energy. I could relate to it more to a theme or a concept that was created by Miriam Novitz. She is a woman that collected in the end of the Shoah, the Second World War, really just after 1944, 1945. She went back to Europe, to the camp, and began the first person to collect art that was made in the camps itself. By the way, not only by Jewish people, also gypsies and all other victims. And she created the term of art as a spiritual resistance. And I really feel that the creative energy that came out from the group has a lot to do with that. Regarding your question, when it began and when it ended, the seeds of this project, there are a branch of projects that I made that belong to this language. Also in the film, there's the journey of the screw. There's a project of the 9/11, Metal from the Twins and Families, the homage to Camille Claudel. So the seeds are a lot. It goes long back. I think making art is a bit like love. You know where it. You never know where it begins, but you know when it ends. And this project didn't end. I was waiting, totally not typically, with a lot of patience for you to finish the documentary. Now it's done, and to be able to continue the project after the last phase in San Diego and the New American Museum and the collaboration with the Lishtag. So now there's the documentary. So is now to put things together and hopefully to be able to continue. Here I mentioned, I call the project 8,000 paperclip and one Skype call, all the exhibitions, the catalog. Yet you decided to call the movie 8,000 paperclip. So I'm really curious to hear how did what happened? Why?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so first of all, I didn't feel that I have to name the documentary after the project at all. I actually considered several names, but I always came back to 8,000 paperclips. Regarding the Skype call, I think that in the whole scheme of the film, it got smaller within, there's a building of the sculpture and then the visit to the Jewish community and the refugee artist in residence and the work with the architecture students. So I felt that its place wasn't that significant to warrant it space in the title. And lastly, I refer to the paperclips because of the connection. In the film, you explain to the children, they ask you why paperclips, and you tell them that for you, paperclips represent connections. And that's part of the theme that I felt was important in the film. The idea of connection, the children's connection to their Israeli friend, which is what eventually saved their lives. The connection you created with the children, the connection you created with Abdallah and the refugee artist in residence participants, the connection to the architecture students, my connection to this entire story and to the children and to you. So I felt when I called it 8,000 paperclips, basically I was referring to the thousands of connections that I think sprang from that project. And
also our connection.
Yes, definitely our connection, which is ongoing. So basically, did you see the film? Do you see the film as part of the art project? How do you see it in relation to the project?
So first, I think it's a miracle that there is a film, and I want to use if I may, this platform publicly to thank you, because it's not obvious that this kind of a project will have a documentary, and making to document is really part of my DNA. I do it in my studio with my personal work, not only documenting me doing the work, but really trying to document the creative process. And also with the project outside the four walls of the studio, I started to document this project even before arriving to Uganda, leaving Israel, which was there. So it's both. It's separate and also part. And it also was very important for me that in this project the movie will be done by somebody else, not only taking the footage but also adding it. It was important for me that it will be separate from me. I felt and it would be done differently, and it was important for me that it will be an outside eye seeing and telling the story, which is different from maybe the story that I feel while doing it. So it's totally separate, but it's totally part, and I think the combination, because it's separate, and even I can say, I was asking before about the name, in a way, I'm happy that it also has a separate name, because it really creates the separation. And the documentary is your work, it's your piece. Part of it is about my project. So here we're talking about the movie. I'm curious to hear, while making the movie, which is, also taking the footage and mainly the all hours editing it, what were the major challenges you felt you went through?
So first of all, I had to decide what the story, what the film is really about. It was very tempting to make it about the children because they're so charming and the stories are very touching. But I felt that that I don't really have any unique story. I mean, many films and books told stories of refugee struggles, and I didn't feel that I have anything very unique to tell here from that angle. The other option was obviously to tell your story, your history as an artist, your other projects. But I also felt that I will be missing something here. I love your ideas, but it takes me time to understand them. Sometimes I have to listen. We do an interview and then I have to listen to it again later to fully understand your ideas. And I didn't feel that, I felt that if it will be only about your ideas, it's going to be a very heavy film. And eventually I decided that I want to try and braid those two stories together. I also, once I decided that I want to tell the stories of the children, I needed to decide how to present them because I interviewed several children. And each one of them had a different story, but in a way, all the stories were very similar. And I felt that I didn't want to just take like one or two stories. I wanted to combine them together, but without repetition. And that's when me and the editor, Liki Tapuach, came up with the idea of stringing the stories together. So, like, for example, when Iwin says, at first we heard about the deportation, we didn't take it seriously. And then Ramkel continues, my mom told me that day I cried all day, I didn't eat anything, and so on and so forth.
With a big smile. He says it with a big smile.
Well, and embarrassed, you know, a teenager admitting that he was crying, a teenager boy admitting he was crying, you know, but it's so charming. So that's why we decided to string those stories together, like one sentence after the other. And then the last thing, and actually it was really at the end that I decided, the end of the editing, that I really must tell your story of your struggle with depression and trauma, because I felt that it was very important that the audience will know that you came to these ideas of art as healing mechanism, not from some book or some article that you read, but from a personal experience. And we actually, you remember, we did another interview just for that because we didn't have the material for that, and we did another interview just so we can include that story in the film. Do you like the way the film represents the project? I mean, would you have done anything differently? Would you have omitted anything or added anything?
So as I said before, it was important for me that the documentary will be done by somebody else, not me, and it was a challenge to find the right person, not only with a person that could connect, but also a person that is in a way connected to Israel, understand the language, because the Hebrew language is a very major part of the tool and the story and the identity, and for surely to find a person that would connect and will have this enormous motivation to make a documentary. So by doing so, it was important for me really to allow the other person, which is you, to have the freedom to do so, which really means to what you could call to let go. So and it's a very complex story. As I said, I'm lucky I didn't have to do the movie. Less job for me. But it's a complex because bringing a narrative and also the project evolves and develops and goes in different directions, and it's very hard to understand what's going on and who is who. So altogether, I really think that the documentary brings the story of the project with different emphasizes. I am very much connected to the kids, and I think as you'd have incredible vitality. So altogether, I think the documentary is serving the project very well. Yet, my one of the biggest tasks for me was really to see if under those extreme circumstances, humanistic, of the kids, if an artist would go and meet them, is art a truly art piece from the artistic point of view could be done, not to bring awareness, not to allow them to express, which is a lot, but a truly art piece. And although, it had the exhibition in the gallery in Tel Aviv and then in the New American Museum in San Diego, I felt that the movie is more floating towards the social matters that is going around also with Abdallah, and less toward their artistic value. But hopefully, as I said before, it's the first chapter of the movie, the project, now that we have the documentary, to see how it could support and really to bring. But this is a matter that I felt for me was a bit missing. Nitsan, what would you consider a success for the documentary you made?
Interesting question. First of all, I made the film. I make documentary film because I enjoy the process. For me, it's art that I do, and I don't necessarily think about it in terms of goal. I enjoy the process of taking the raw material and kind of similar to your work with the wheels or the chairs, to take an existing material and then shape it, bend it, connect it into a different kind of product. So first of all, I do it because I enjoy it, and I did enjoy the process very much. I'm not saying that there weren't some parts that were challenging, but I did enjoy it.
Going twice to Uganda, sitting hours in front of computer. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. The other thing was to, obviously, every filmmaker of every artist wants a work to be seen or heard of. So I want the film to be seen by as many people as possible. I never defined for myself what number of people, and obviously in 2020 things were, everything was even more challenging in terms of festivals and screenings. I also was hoping to maybe gain some more supporters for the Come True organization, some more donors. And as far as I know, we have gained a few. We do have a few sponsors that joined the project following watching the film, and there's a philanthropist, an American philanthropist that saw the film and is now considering supporting the project. So yeah, I think that's what I would consider a success of the film. I have definitely no expectation of making money of it or anything like that. It's a documentary after all. What would you consider a success of the project?
So first, you're very modest, because we know Come True really gained some more support through the projects. I know, so it's really I salute you for that. I'll tell you, from my point of view, I remember beginning the project, or before meeting the kids for the first time. My main concern was, if under those circumstances of being just deported and coming back from South Sudan and really just arriving to Uganda after such a hard period, if meeting me as who I am and as an artist will creativity, will there be open to create themselves? And the same with Abdallah. He just arrived to the States after living several years in a refugee camp in Jordan, arriving to San Diego a few days, not speaking the language, and meeting an Israeli artist. Will creativity really will be able to open and to create? And in both cases, I must say, I was absolutely surprised by the amount of energy, creative energy that came out, also from the kids and also from Abdallah. So for me, this is a huge success, meaning my intuition that although circumstances could be incredibly difficult, the human side of the being really is searching for its dignity and for its name. Here it's not refugees in the movie, they have name, they have history, they have past. If you have past, there is a chance that you'll have also the future. So this is a huge success. In the same time, my main goal was really to try to make my case that this kind of artistic project could sustain themselves financially. And so my task is really to be able to convert the piece we made together to cash, to money, to financial possibilities, and to take back this money to the kids, so their own effort 6 years ago creating the piece really could support them and really to show them the ability. So unfortunately, we have to soon say goodbye. But so I wanted really to ask you, going through this process, it's already a few years being involved, seeing the kids, taking the footage, sitting and editing, now screening in festival. What would you consider the biggest effect it had on you as who you are, as Nitsan, filmmaker?
I think there's two main things that changed me during the work on this film. One, I got really involved with the Come True organization, and I'm in contact with the directors of the organization, Leah and Rami, and I got involved with sponsoring the children, and I helped them produce some fundraising videos. So I'm also keeping in touch with Yoash from the Jewish community, and I've been involved with them. So all of this work really made me curious about the subject of philanthropic organizations, non-profit organizations, how they work, the moral dilemmas, the ethical dilemmas. And as a result, I started looking into it, and I signed up for a master's program in philanthropy at Indiana University. Amazing. So that's one thing, and I'm still taking classes, and I find it very interesting. The other thing is really the theme of the connections. I think that I realized for myself how important our human connections, face-to-face connections are today. I feel that in our world today, and obviously COVID made everything even worse, it's so easy not to meet people face-to-face. If in the past you wanted to take art classes, you had to go to a local art school, or if you wanted to join a book club, you had to go and meet some people at the library. Nowadays, everything's available online. It's very easy to open a YouTube video and learn how to draw or how to do some other kind of project. And on the way, the connections, the personal connections are really lost. The contact between people, what is referred to in the in the literature, they call it social capital. It's the value of the connections between people. And I think that's one of the things that the film showed me. The work on the film made me feel very strongly that this kind of connection is very important.
Yes, yes, yes. All the Come True project started because of our connections of two young friends, right? Leah's son and his friend. So here, because of a friendship of two young children, the life of 200 children are now saved. It's really unbelievable. Truly, yes.
Yes, and your connection and with us going to the Jewish community, we started some project with them. We actually helped them with fundraising for a water well, a borehole.
Yes. Yeah, amazing, amazing human connection. Thank you very much, Nitsan. Really.
Thank you. So, you know what? Thank you for bringing me into this amazing project. It's been an adventure.
And ongoing, still not ended yet.
Yes, yeah. So I'm really thankful to you for bringing me into this project and for introducing me to these children and the project and everybody else. And thank you for the conversation today, and many thanks to FIFA for suggesting the conversation and hosting it. And thank you for everybody that was watching today. Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye.